massive playoff implications and just a bizarre type of finish.
Well, those who are watching the college football game here on ESPN, trying not to score, and then you fumble. Well, the same thing happened in the Raiders-Dolphins game as well in terms of trying not to score. And then, well, here it is. We'll show it to you. Two crazy football endings, both in college and the NFL, and they happen almost at the exact same time in real time. We'll get to them both. Okay, here's the deal. Dolphins are down by 3 to the Raiders, and Tua is just not productive getting the ball down the field, so he's going to get pulled for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Meanwhile, it's 16-16. No one's really doing anything. It's a lot of field goals, and finally, Derek Carr makes his play to Nelson Aguilar, and suddenly you realize he's going to score. Touchdown. All right, we're up by 6. Let's go up by 7, Derek Carr. Just send Daniel Carlson out there to kick the extra point. No, he shoves it right. Open club face. So the Dolphins got plenty of time. They got timeouts. They got time. They got Fitz magic. And they're down 6. They could actually go down and score and win the game. It might take them a few plays to do it. Now, how about just this one play? 1st and 10. Myles Gaskin from Fitzpatrick, and he's in. And he scores, and the game is tied. Now just kick the extra point, Jason Sanders, and give the Dolphins a 1-point lead. But again, still plenty of time. Raiders 3 timeouts, 2:55 to go. Time not a factor. Just go down and score somehow. 2nd and 7. Don't get the 3rd down because the Raiders failed to complete a 3rd down in this game. 0 for 10. Let's go to Aguilar again. Flag on the play. Pass interference. Now John Gruden, the Raiders are in great shape. Oh, offside on 3rd and 1. Gimme, 1st down. Dolphins got 1 timeout left. Let's milk the clock down. And just like in the college football game some of you just watched, at one point the Raiders decided we're not going to try to score. They could have tried to score and gone up by 5, go for 2, go up by 7, but now doesn't look good. Only 19 seconds to go. But a field goal wins the game now for Miami by not trying to score a touchdown. Oh, Fitzpatrick, complete down the sideline. And guess what? Yeah, they did that to him. So suddenly, on one play, the completion plus 15 yards, now Miami's back in field goal range. They tried one pass incomplete, and then Sanders wins the game with the field goal. Holy shnikes. Bad news for Ravens fans. Raiders, their playoff hopes weren't good anyway, but John Gruden, don't score the touchdown. Let's save it for the field goal and rely on a miracle. Well, the miracle happened, and the Raiders lose and Miami wins. But again, it was really interesting. Tua overall was 17 of 22. 17 of 22, and he was pulled. Why? 4 yards of completion. Was not driving the ball down the field. The offense looked very, very stagnant and not much going on. So they go to Fitzpatrick, and bam, he provides a couple of magical moments, most of it Gaskin on the first one. But in the end, it's Miami who gets it done. So a quarterback decision made by a team that looks like they're going to the playoff. Now who starts going forward for Miami?
All right, Tim Hasselbeck joining us now, and I was going to start with the Dolphins, but you can't. You got to start with the Raiders and how that game ended. Tim, explain to me what you saw with the decision-making towards the end and then that unfortunate penalty.
Yeah, I think it's actually the right decision not to score, and it was clear that Josh Jacobs knew what the plan was. It was clear that he was going to go down before crossing the goal line. They kicked the field goal to go ahead, and I think that at that point it's up to your defense in really tough circumstances for the opposing offense just to get the job done, which they don't do. And, I think that, Las Vegas obviously will be kind of kicking themselves for it, but a critical penalty is really, what extends the drive.
Okay, so you like the call. Hang on a second here because we've got John Gruden. We're going to hear what he has to say and why he thought that was the right call for his team.
The game. Really admire the way we compete, but until we start closing out games, we'll continue to be disappointed. That's a reflection on me, obviously. I don't regret taking a knee. We wanted to give the Dolphins the ball with as little time left as possible with no timeouts. Thought we did that. 19 seconds left on their own 25-yard line. They made a desperation play. And we had a penalty on top of that, inexcusable. And I'll be happy to answer any questions I can.
John, what was the conversations that you guys were having on whether to score the touchdown or settle for the field goal right there? And did you at any point think about, okay, they're giving us a touchdown here, let's just go ahead and take that and take our chances?
Well, we did that against Kansas City. Honestly, we scored with a minute 15 left, and Mahomes went down and beat us. And we felt the play was to eliminate all the clock and all the timeouts and put them back with they're back against the wall with 19 seconds left. I don't regret it. I didn't want Fitzpatrick to have the ball. He was doing a good job in the second half. I didn't want him to be in a 4-down situation. He's a gunslinger. He was hot. That's all I can say. I don't regret it one bit. I just regret the results.
Coach, we go back to that play where you could have scored the touchdown and maybe added a 2-point conversion. Then even if they did drive down, they probably would have only.
There's a lot of ways to. I'm not going to interrupt anybody, but I'm sorry, but there's a lot of ways to look at this. But 19 seconds left on your own 25-yard line with no timeouts. I've called plays a long time. The probability of getting that done is remote, and there's no guarantee if they get the ball that they don't go for two. I'm not going to get into all the scenarios. We played it exactly like we wanted to play it. It was a heck of a job by our offense closing the deal, I thought, but unfortunately they made a desperation play and the penalty was horrific.
John, this is Hondo Carpenter. Can you please talk about Derek's performance with the groin injury and just the way he played?
I thought he showed a lot of toughness. Obviously not converting on third down. I think his mobility perhaps played into that a little bit. This is a great football team, a great defensive team, as good as we've seen all year. They throw every look at you that you can prepare for. I thought Derek did a great job, and I thought he did enough to win tonight.
Jerry? John, when they switched quarterbacks to Fitzpatrick, how did that change the look for your defense? You guys defensively have been having your way for most of the game.
Well, I think we just missed a couple tackles. The running back got out of trouble, made a 60-yard touchdown after we scored and missed the extra point. And Fitzpatrick gives his guys chances that most quarterbacks don't take. He's willing to throw the ball down the field in tight windows. Once again, we didn't register a turnover on defense. The pass rush wasn't good enough, and he got us.
Hey, John, was Josh Jacobs hurt during the game? How did that affect the play calling?
Yeah, a little bit. He had an IV. He wasn't feeling real good coming in here tonight. They're a hard team to run the ball against. Like I said, defensively in the last several weeks of the season, they've been one of the very best teams I've seen on tape.
Coach, is there anything Darren Waller does that's amazing anymore, or is just expected all the time?
No, he's a great player, and he plays such a major role in so many different positions. It's one of the best players I've ever seen play football.
Looks like that's it. Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
All right, so with the win, the Dolphins hanging on to the number 7 seed while the Raiders are officially eliminated from playoff contention. As for the rest of the AFC, the Chiefs and Bills have clinched their divisions, while the Steelers, who already have clinched a playoff spot, can clinch the division title with a win over the Colts. But we get back to this one with Tim right now. And John Gruden saying, listen, he does not regret making that call, agrees with you, wanted to have as little time as possible for the Dolphins. And he said, you know what, just thought that would put them in the best position possible, calls it an inexcusable penalty. And you look at this defense for the Raiders, you go back to week 11. Since then, they've been giving up 36 points per game. That's the worst in the NFL. What has changed for them? What's been so bad about that defense right now?
Well, listen, they've changed play callers. It was so bad. Look, they just have, like a lot of teams, have dealt with people being in and out of the lineup. That's been a struggle. And listen, they just kind of have made mistakes in inopportune times. And, tonight is probably a great example of it. And look, it's with a different play caller, on that side of the ball. A face mask in that situation, as John Gruden characterized it, is inexcusable. But the busting coverage is inexcusable as well. Mac Hollins, there's no reason, should have been that open on the sideline in that part of the game. So, look, I think it was a combination of those things. And I do think it was telling to hear John Gruden talk about how Derek Carr played well enough to win. It clearly was a comment in relation to how he felt about his defense's inability to close it out.
The narrative has changed so much around this team. They started 6-3. We're thinking, okay, They finally got a team that we're going to see in the playoffs, see what John Gruden can do with his guys. And then now they've lost 5 of their last 6. What changed for them throughout this year?
Yeah, I just think they didn't have the consistency. I mean, there were parts, even tonight, there were times where you thought, look, this is really impressive. Some of the things they were doing defensively and coming up with stops, their ability to run the ball with Josh